So every coach in Philly is on the hot seat permanently, all the time. That's just the deal you sign up for.
Hey, welcome to Tough Loss Bro, a podcast. NFL season has begun, meaning the regular season is right around the corner. So we figured we get a jump on the coach's hot seat debate. Every year, coaches get fired. Last year alone, 11 lost their jobs. So, Jeff, whose seat starts the hottest as we begin to steamroll towards the real games?
So I'm gonna kind of go a little different here. Like maybe I think my own fan base will disagree with me. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But I'm going with Nick Sirianni. I've said this before. We can go back to like episode 4, I believe it was, that the Eagles have been competitive my entire adult life. Since the year 2000 to now, every year they're competitive. And, that's a burden for an organization like that, because you always have to keep that same level of intensity up. When your floor is competitive and your organization has been in the conversation for the better part of 25 years, pretty good isn't enough anymore. So you always have to maintain that level of intensity. So yeah, it's a high expectation organization, ownership, front office, fan base. Everybody wants the team to excel every year, Super Bowl or bust, pretty much. So that's why I'm going with Nick Sirianni. And that's what makes him specifically the perfect hot seat candidate, because his team has shown they can do it all. And this year we're looking at, like, the team is so weird. They can have a floor of 6 wins or they can have a ceiling of 15 wins, and either one wouldn't surprise me. So 15 wins, NFC Championship run in the building of a dynasty takes on every show in the country. 6 wins in the Black Friday. There's a fan base there's a what do you call it? A blimp over the NovaCare complex saying, get rid of Sirianni. And that's exactly why he's on the hot seat. It's not about last year. It's not even about this year, really. It's about the fact that this building, you're never more than one bad stretch away from losing your job. So every coach in Philly is on the hot seat permanently, all the time. That's just the deal you sign up for. So that's just how it is. That's why Sirianni's on the hot seat for me.
Philly's definitely a difficult place to coach, for sure. You, like you said, constantly on the hot seat. Just if you go 0-2, people want your head in Philly. It seems like, and 2 games in the NFL, as we know, is really nothing in the grand scheme of things. So that's kind of it's definitely a take, especially for your own team, to automatically start the season on the hot seat.
I mean, last year they were calling for his neck by they started 2-2. So like week 3, they're already calling for Sirianni's neck. After that Tampa Bay loss, it was like, Sirianni, get rid of him.
I mean, they fired Peterson after a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yep. See?
Yeah.
Yep. Tracks.
Wow. All right, Steve, who's your coach on the hot seat? Because, that's tough. Getting fired after winning a Super Bowl.
I have Zac Taylor. I think Zac Taylor is a bad coach. I think he's built a bad culture. They had a bad defensive coordinator. What I would say is that the way that the NFL is set up right now, because of the way that they changed the preseason, is they went from 4 games to 3 games. That doesn't seem like that would matter a lot, but the thing is we had that 1, 2, 3, 4 format. And the 3rd game was the game. That's where everybody got their stuff together, right? So like they all played. I don't think he prepares his teams well. I also know that their owner doesn't like to fire people mid-season. He doesn't want to spend the money that's going to be around firing somebody. So I just think he's a bad coach. He's been to a Super Bowl, so that's hard to argue.
I always forget that.
Yeah. Like nobody remembers that Super Bowl. Joe Burrow covers up a lot of problems, but now look, Joe Burrow, like he hasn't done anything in 3 years. They're 7-14-1 in September over the last 3 years.
Damn.
They're terrible in the early part of the season. And I know that because I'm a proxy and I watch people. They always pick the Bengals. They always pick Joe Burrow.
I love
and
it.
they always get eliminated early on in the season.
You know what used to mean? Go ahead.
They just start slow, and starting slow is not a talent problem. Starting slow is a coaching problem. And
Yeah.
so
I wouldn't disagree with that.
No.
Actually, I
Yep.
think you're 100% right. That's preparation from the preseason into the regular season. So yeah, absolutely. If you can't get off to a good start in the preseason and get those guys the reps that they need, and then you start off the regular season in a hole, then yeah. But I do want to take it to Joe Burrow for a second. I am a huge Joe Burrow fan. I think he has a really good arm. I just don't think he has ever had a good opportunity behind that offensive line to stay healthy. And I always think he's playing injured. I honestly do. I think that dude is tough and he plays injured. And that's why he is a leader of that team. But I as a guy who is a Jets fan, I've seen really porous offensive lines, and I think that the Bengals have a very porous offensive line, and that
yeah,
poor kid is getting killed back there constantly.
But
yeah, yeah.
he also doesn't have a
He
defense to
worked
help
for
him
a
out.
bad franchise. He just
Yeah,
it's like when you work for a bad company, that's what he works
Yeah.
for. He works for a bad
sure.
company.
But he
Yeah.
also, you look at him on the sidelines this year, him and his girlfriend just canoodling on the sideline as if like nothing's going on.
But that was Justin Herbert. Sorry.
No, it was
bust-
Burrow too. You didn't see the Burrow
Both of
one?
them did
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
No, because I
Yeah.
saw the Herbert one. And
I
I'm
know.
just like,
Herbert's was more
What are they
gross because it was more like in the practice itself. At least Burrow was off away a little bit, but still, like to Steve's point, that's coaching. Why is your girlfriend there, man? Come on, focus.
I mean,
imagine I'm at work and I take a break and start canoodling with my wife off in the sidewalk.
Depending on what your job is, you might be able to just canoodle with whoever you
I
want.
guess that's true.
Well, Bill Belichick would allow that.
But I want to move on from Joe Burrow and the canoodling because it's kind of it is coaching. You're right. I think that these guys are doing it after practice. I don't think it's in the middle of a break. I think they've had whatever they're doing that day, and it's family time, and these guys are on the field and all that stuff. I don't think it's like happening during a water break or anything like that.
All right, that's a good point.
Anyway, I got to move on. So anyway, with that being said, is everyone paying attention? Come closer, Jets fans. I'm talking to us.
Oof.
Some of us are excited, hyped about our draft this year, elated about bringing in vets like Minka Fitzpatrick, Demario Davis, and Geno Smith to lead the team. Veteran leaders who were brought in to help install the attitude and style of play the head coach wants as this team's identity.
Who, Frank Reich?
The Jets wiped the slate clean. Almost every player from the Saleh era is gone. They have 3 first-round picks next year, so it could be argued that they're in a great position to turn things around. But just as the slate has been wiped clean on the roster, the same thing has happened to Aaron Glenn's coaching staff. Everyone's gone but him. Aaron Glenn, I'd argue, is actually on the cold seat because he's a dead coach walking. The Jets brought in Frank Reich to run the offense, and he's their head coach in waiting. The only way Frank Reich is not the coach by week 8 is if every single thing goes right for the Jets this season. And let's face it, it's the gosh darn Jets. So something will inevitably go wrong. So, yeah, obviously I'm super high on the Jets. So what do you I'm just a little concerned about, as you said, like Frank Reich, right in the middle of it, you were saying Frank Reich is the coach. Is that who the coach is?
We saw this with the Mets.
Yeah,
this is the exact same thing. They fired Mendoza's entire staff. They got rid of him. They left him out there for dead. And guess what? When stuff went wrong, it went wrong. And so there's no possible way that won't be the exact same situation.
Oh yeah, as soon as they hired Reich, like that's a head coach caliber guy. He's already coached 2 teams. He's so it's one team. Sorry, he only coached the one team. I'm confusing him winning the Super Bowl with the Eagles as a coach, but that was OC. So yeah, as soon as he came in, that was it. Glenn's done. I don't even know why he's still there. Just why go through this?
But even the pedigree you mentioned with Reich getting a Super Bowl ring as the OC.
Yeah.
Like right there, that's great pedigree for a coach, especially in my opinion, the Jets' biggest problem over the course of the last 15 years, more so than the defense, has been offensive consistency. They've never really had it. You're talking about not only obviously when you're switching coaches constantly and GMs constantly, you're obviously switching offensive philosophies constantly and defensive philosophies constantly.
New quarterbacks.
So it's really exactly like it's just been a revolving door of everything with the Jets, and that's where we're at 15 years in to this playoff drought. And we have a coach, as Steve said, that is basically starting the season on the hot seat cold seat, as we were talking about, just because of the fact that, one, he hasn't won anything as a head coach. I think they won, like, I don't even know, like 3
He's
games
a
last year.
nobody.
Won
Just
3 games
absolutely
last year.
pitiful. Just like disgusting. It's really just disappointing, the whole thing. The only, like, to be positive before we move on, I just hope that things work out with the Jets, because it's so frustrating at this point as a fan. It really is. Like, you guys are laughing, and it is funny to a certain extent, but it really is. It is
It's funny for us.
so. It's so frustrating, though. Like, I almost want to cry. They make me want to cry. It's so frustrating. It really is. 15 years of futility. And I mean, the best season that they've had in the last 15 years is from the 2015 season with Ryan Fitzpatrick as the quarterback, and they won 10 games and missed the playoffs. So sad.
I love Fitzy, though. I'm a big fan of Fitzy.
I'm a big Fitz fan.
I
we can all agree
there. I love Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I didn't want him to be my quarterback for 7 years. Like, that was awful. But
but still.
But personality-wise, love Fitz.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, great guy. Great.
Post-career Fitz is the best.
Oh, yeah.
And he's great. I think I love him on the Amazon Prime the Amazon Prime pre and post game, and that's honestly the only one I actually watch because of him.
He's also never been stabbed.
That's a positive. Yeah,
that's good.
Absolutely. That's a great positive for him.
Good thing. Good for him.
So moving on, we have talked about there are the best of coaches and the worst of coaches, which leads us to the next discussion, the best and worst wide receiver rooms in the NFL. So, Steve, best wide receiver room and worst wide receiver room, who do you got?
So, I'm going to go Vikings. And I will say the reason why I go Vikings is because I watched a Vikings versus Bills game in 2022. It was a 30-30 win in overtime. The Vikings beat the Bills. Justin Jefferson had 10 catches, 193 yards, and a TD. And he caught a 4th and 18 ball. Cousins like just throws it up. He's like just throwing a prayer like Eli Manning. It was one of the craziest games I've ever seen. And he just catches it. And like, I don't even care who the rest of the people are on that team, as far as, like, I know they got rid of a couple of people. They have Jordan Addison, I think, still. But like, Justin Jefferson is, in my opinion, it's what? Chase Jefferson? So like, you don't even need anything else. It's just Justin Jefferson. 10 catches, 193 yards, 1 TD, 4th and 18. The quarterback just launches it. And like, that's it. And he catches it, and you win the game. Like, it's just. And
that was a fully contested catch, wasn't it? In the Bills' hands, it was like in the receivers, or it was in the defender's hands, and Justin just took it.
He was way up in the air. Like, it was nuts. And he did that multiple times in that game. Multiple times in that, and he did it late in the game. So like, Jefferson, Addison, Jennings, whatever. Like, it's just JJ. Like, JJ is just a badass. Like, I think he's better than Jamar Chase. And so I think he's the best receiver, but he hasn't had the best quarterbacks. Guess what? This year, not going to have the best quarterback again, but.
How's he even going to see him?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. He's going to. I mean, he's like 5'4". Like.
Yeah. Yep, just chuck it up. Rainbow moon balls. He's going to pull a Russell Wilson.
But JJ comes down with those moon balls. Like, JJ.
He'll catch it.
So I don't care who else is even in the room. It's JJ for me.
Okay, Jeff, what do you got as your guy? What do you got for your best?
Again, my fellow fan base might hate me for this one.
Oh,
but
boy.
I mean, I have to at least be honest. You know, I can't just be a homer all the time. So I'm taking the Cowboys. Ugh. And it hurts. It hurts. Get it?
Okay.
Oh boy.
But
here we go.
But you look at the team. You start with CeeDee Lamb, top 5 receiver in football. Like, there's you just can't argue that. As much as I'd like to say he's not, he's a top 5 receiver in the thing. Route runner, ball skills, everything. And then you put the real depth behind him. He has another number 1 in Pickens. So you got 2 number 1s basically on your team. So on paper, these guys are elite. It's honestly the best wide receiver room in the league. But here's the thing with the Cowboys, and this is where I get to like have a little fun with them, is we say this every year and none of it matters. It doesn't matter how loaded you are in October. It doesn't matter how many Cowboys are back. This is our year. By week 6, come January, this team finds a way to turn a stacked receiver room into a stacked highlight reel of drops, meltdowns, and a fan base yelling at the TV, smashing it with their fists, throwing their bottles at it. Every year we get those clips of the screens just falling off the thing, like thousands and thousands of dollars of TVs just getting destroyed because the Cowboys just can't seem to get it together.
The punch
great wide receiver room, same ending. Cowboys go Cowboy. That's it.
That's a bold choice, but I agree because between Lamb and Pickens, they do have a couple of really good wide receivers. And when I was doing my research, I was actually close to picking them, but I didn't want to because they're the Cowboys, and I have morals, Jeff. So I couldn't do it.
I made up for it by trashing him at the end. That's why I did it.
Of course, it's natural.
Gotta get my.
So let me go back to my worst.
Okay.
My worst is
get it.
Cleveland, and like they don't even have like a real quarterback, so like that's even worse. Good luck with Deshaun Watson or Shador Sanders or whoever. Like we talked about this in another episode. So Jerry Jeudy, that's their wide receiver 1.
Hey.
Can you name their wide receiver 2? I'll give you a minute.
No, I don't need a minute. I only need about 2 seconds because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
KC Concepcion or Denzel Boston. They also have Isaiah Bond, Cedric Tillman, some dude named Tylan Wallace, and a guy named Jamari Thrash. It probably just should be Jamari Trash. Like, they don't have any receivers. Like, they have no players. Like, that's the worst one in my opinion.
That's pretty bad.
You have Jerry Jeudy. All you have is Jerry Jeudy.
Hey, at least there's somebody to throw to. I don't know.
I guess.
Don't they? I can't. I have nothing for that because I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I don't know who those people are. I don't know
anybody. And I was doing research for this, and Jeff, you want to just jump in real quick with your worst, and I'll just tackle my 2 choices after you're done with your worst, so we don't have to go back and forth at this point.
Yeah, the Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
I don't even. Can you guys name a single wide receiver on the Dolphins?
I can name old injured ones.
Yeah.
Caleb Douglas, Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert.
Who's Malik Washington?
He's their number 2.
Oh,
he used to play for. I think he was on the Ravens. I think he came from somewhere. He wasn't always on Miami, I don't believe, but that's their wide receiver room. Like, I'm not saying they can't play. They're in the NFL. I'm saying nobody could tell you what they look like or who they are.
Couldn't tell you what they look like. I'm sure that somebody will get some stats. There'll be somebody that creeps up, as there are with every team. There'll be someone that is a number 1, but is a firm number 1? Like we talked about Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson as clear number 1, CeeDee Lamb as being clear number 1, even Pickens being maybe even a clear number 1 in every other team outside of the Cowboys. But yeah, you guys have a couple of pretty bad wide receiver rooms.
If you,
for sure.
Those dudes can sniff those dudes' jocks. Like,
yeah. And same with you, Steve, same with picking the Browns. Like, you go to the quarterback, the Dolphins quarterback is Malik Willis. He was decent on Green Bay because he had a coach and he had a team around him. But Dolphins are just going to be triple options all day long. That's it. Those wide receivers won't even see the ball.
Kind of actually, that's actually. I mean, I'm going to start with my team, my top team, and then I'll move on to my bottom team. But for my choices, I wanted to look at route running ability. And not only do the Lions have 2 of the top route runners in the league, but they have a ridiculously accurate QB in Jared Goff. So in a room led by Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, 2,000-yard receivers last season, coupled with their ability to stretch the field and catch pretty much everything thrown to them, I have the Lions wide receiver room as one of the tops in the league. I just don't see how they're not. But then to move on to the other side of the coin, I have the worst wide receiver room residing in the ATL, led by Drake London, who is joined by Olamide Zaccheaus and Jahan Dotson. They have 1,000-yard receiving year among them, and add that to a questionable QB room, an all-world tight end in Pitts, and a running back in Bijan Robinson who just got his payday. This could be a really long season for the Falcons wide receivers. Perhaps, as we've talked about prior to other sports, just advanced cardio for the wide receivers out there in Atlanta. Perhaps, not sure. That's what it can end up being. So do you guys have anything to add for those two teams? Good choices, bad choices?
Would you ever bet money on the Falcons to win a game? But okay, but anybody else?
No.
All right, so I don't want to hear about Drake London. Drake London's good, but I don't know because he's never really had a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, exactly.
Pretty good. Pitts, like I've written off Pitts. I read off Pitts like years ago. Like I played fantasy football. This guy's undraftable. Like I have no interest. But yeah, I don't know.
Pitts has a funny stat thing about him throughout his career. Year one, I think he's in year 6 or 7 right now. Year one touchdown for the year. Year two touchdowns. And he goes like that every year. 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7. So this is year 7. Count on him to have 7 touchdowns. So if he plays 30 years, he will be one of the greatest tight ends ever.
Yeah, like 12 years from 30 years. Yeah. If he plays 30 years.
If he plays till he's 55.
Yeah.
Which is
greatest tight end.
You know what? In the current economy, some players might have to play till they're 55.
You never know.
You never know. We might be playing flag football out there soon. Who knows what happens? Maybe they can play till 55.
No, those Falcons wide receivers and that whole room, because I would say you would put the tight ends and the wide receivers in the same room because they're kind of like the same position now. They all suck.
So we've thrown some coaches under the bus, and we've also talked about the worst wide receiver rooms. And now that the regular season in the baseball is about to be 86th, we have some thoughts about the Mets and Phillies with the 6 weeks left to go. So Jeff, what's grinding your gears about the Phillies as we draw down to a close of the regular season?
Man, I came in here ready to just rip them apart just because they're just such an inconsistent team. They can't seem to get anything right. Like they make that trade for a Rise, and it's great because it's someone they need in the lineup. He gets on base. He's a contact hitter. He doesn't strike out, but he's here for a week and he goes for 17. Like it takes Kevin Long 1 week to destroy this guy. And then we bring him in, and he's not even the greatest defensive second baseman. And he takes second base, Stott, a future Gold Glove second baseman, moves to third. Bohm over to first. He can barely play third, his natural position. You're going to put him at first, a position he never plays. And then you take your premier player, Bryce Harper, your $350 million superstar, who had Tommy John surgery just a couple years ago, and you put him back in the outfield to try to destroy his arm as he's throwing ropes down to home to try to throw people out. It just that part makes no sense whatsoever. And then, the Phillies are going to Philly. The offense just goes cold on a dime anytime. Like it's the most frustrating team to watch. These guys, like the top 4 guys of Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Arise. These are premier players that should be giving fits to the opposing pitchers, and they just can't get it together. So I wanted to destroy them, but then the last 3 games they've been playing really well. They played in the Field of Dreams game, which was like one of the best things MLB does. Watching that whole thing was just so much fun for me. It actually made me
for once.
Yeah. And watching like the Hall of Famers come out of the corn and all that actually brought a tear to my eye watching it. Mike Schmidt was there right here, my guy. And it was so awesome. But I just wanted to throw a little love to the MLB right there for that. But yeah, the Phillies, I just have no hope for them. I think they'll do a little bit here and there over the next month, but they're a wild card exit, NLDS exit.
I think that you said Bryce Harper is a superstar. His own president of operations doesn't see him as a superstar. So honestly, I'm not. Dave Dombrowski said in the preseason.
No, it was Middleton. It was the owner.
Middleton. Oh, the owner said that. Even worse.
Is he still elite?
I thought that it was Dombrowski this whole time, and it was actually the owner. So yeah, you could see why they would treat him that way and just put him in right field. I don't understand.
He volunteered. He offered to move.
Sure. Yeah, of
But you
course,
should
because
still say no.
he's the one that went out there and said we need these parks. So
Yep.
if he doesn't volunteer to move, then what you can't go out in the media and say, hey, we need guys here. If you're not willing to do what it takes, if
Absolutely.
you're
No, I
asking
agree.
in the front office to do something, you should be willing to do what it takes. So good on him for moving to right field. It's
What
fine.
choice did he have?
He didn't really have a choice exactly. I'm going to move on to the Mets, and for the
Hold on,
Mets, what bothers
before you
me.
move on to the Mets, because I want Jeff's opinion on this. Who's the best offensive player on the Phillies? Because we know who the best pitchers are. Who's the best offensive player on the Phillies at this point right now today?
Front of my head, I'd probably have to say Kyle Schwarber.
That's what I would say.
On base percentage, OPS. Yeah, it has to be him.
Wild.
Yeah.
The Cubs gave up on him like 10 years ago.
Yeah, and he bats like 250. Actually, he's batting like 260 right now. His average is way up this year. For
like Pete Alonso.
Yeah. So yeah, Kyle Schwarber.
He is. I mean, and he is basically a 2-result hitter anyway. It's a strikeout or a homer, and that's your best player.
Yeah. He has 176 strikeouts right now as we sit here.
But that's what's funny is but that's the game today anyway. Like I could sit here and say, oh, Kyle Schwarber just hits homers or strikes out, but that's half of the offense. That's why we have maybe a handful of hitters hitting over 300 this year, and the league average is awful as far as batting average goes. And I understand that batting average isn't like a stat that's looked at anymore for contract stuff and things like that. It's all the peripheral stats, all the analytic stats that get you paid now, even MVP awards and that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to sit here and trash Kyle Schwarber for being a 2-result player, because that's what the game has come to. But since we got that covered, Kyle Schwarber, best player on the Phillies, or best hitter. What bothers me the most about the Mets' failure this season is the lack of development at the minor league level. Short prospects like McClain, Benj, and Ewing have graduated, but others have regressed, such as Jonah Tong and Ryan Clifford. Oof. Both those guys were projected to help at the big league level this year, but Tong couldn't find any consistency, and Clifford has way too many holes in his swing. While the power's there, just strikes out way too much. This was supposed to be what David Stearns was good at, replenishing the minors after the top prospects head to the majors, and he's failed there. So, I brought up Stearns, and that would lead me to Steve. I don't think we need to discuss anymore what the Mets have done this season. From my end, that's just what I think the biggest failure outside of the record of the big league club is when these guys graduated to the major league level, we didn't see any more growth in the minor leagues. And that's the most frustrating thing, because that's what Stearns is supposed to be there for, is to replenish the coffers after the major leaguers or the minor leaguers become major leaguers. Do you have something to add, Jeff? It seemed like you were.
Yeah, I feel like the Mets have always been good at that, developing their players. Like, I feel like they always have somewhat of a farm system to pick from. And bring them up. Not developing them. I feel like they always have these top prospects. Not necessarily transition. Oh yeah, that's true. It is a lot of pitchers. Yeah,
they're well known for their pitchers. well known as a franchise that is a pitching franchise. Like any diehard Mets fan will tell you that. Yeah. What's that?
It's like the Guardians.
Yeah, exactly. So Steve, what kind? I brought up David Stearns, and I know that's always a sore subject for you, but as calmly as possible, what do you think for your last thoughts on the Mets here as the season is drawing to a close?
Good Lord. I hate it. And this is not David Stearns' fault, because it wasn't him. In July of 2021, we traded PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong. That was our drunk. He got. This is what's his name, Jared Smith or whatever.
I don't remember. It doesn't matter what his name is.
It doesn't matter. He was a GM for 2 minutes. He basically got drunk at Steve Cohen's house and fell asleep at the wheel and got a DUI. This was our GM at the time. He complained that they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough analytics to understand who their players were, and so. Of course, he's still hired by SNY. I just don't get it. He traded on July 30th, 2021. He traded Pete Crow Armstrong, who was only 19 years old at the time. He was a 2020 first round pick, 19 overall, for Javier Baez for 2 months, who literally went like this to the fans. Like he flipped off the fans. Like it's
No,
just.
he didn't flip them off. He booed them, Steve.
He
Oh,
thumbs down
sorry, he
them.
went like this. Oh,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
yeah.
he also made
Yep.
Lindor do it because Lindor was his buddy. So they're over here doing this while they're rounding the bases. Javi Baez, Trevor Williams, and cash considerations for Pete Crow Armstrong. So Pete Crow Armstrong will probably finish this year at least 40-40, probably about 45 home runs, at least 40 stolen bases. And because Ohtani's not pitching anymore, which I know Adam is happy about, that that he's probably going to be MVP. And we traded him for nothing.
He's not hitting 45
that, like,
home
that's
runs.
how that works in MLB. You trade like this little kid or whatever, but like it's just it's an all-time bad trade in MLB. And of course it's the Mets, because why wouldn't it be?
It is. I agree 100%. An all-time bad trade, particularly the Mets as well. They have a history of bad trades. Nolan Ryan was traded for like Jim Fregosi back in the 70s, guys like that. And then they traded Tom Seaver to the Reds because there was like a contract dispute thing. And then this is a little bit off of contract stuff, but in 83 or 84, the Mets brought Seaver back on free agent signing or whatever the case was. And then they left him unprotected, and he was taken by the White Sox. And in the White Sox uniform is where he won his 300th game. So the Mets have a history of just having bad things happen when
Metsing?
I don't know. I can't. It's just Metsing. Yeah, LOL Metsing is what it is. I guess that would be the thing.
It's only because hindsight's 2020. Like if you go back to the year 2021, it made a little bit more sense. The Mets were in first place at the All-Star break. Like they're trying to win. They're trying to win this thing. It's Lindor's buddy bringing him in. He didn't have a terrible season with the Mets. He batted 299. He had a few RBIs. He had 9 home runs or something like that. And he wasn't supposed to be a rental. He was you have the richest owner in the league. He was supposed to be like the long-term thing. He's the middle of the field was supposed to be Lindor and Baez. That's your double play guys right there. And it just didn't happen that way. Baez turned out to be.
It didn't happen.
Well, actually, yeah, it did turn out to be better for you. Baez is terrible now, but
another hindsight 2020.
Raccoon, rat.
It is what it is at this point. Like I'm not going to delve back into the past of what the Mets did. It was an all-time bonehead trade for sure. Different regime, same owner, different regime as far as front office goes. But that goes along with consistency, and how you win is having a consistent front office, and consistency throughout your organization helps be consistent on the field, as we've discussed several times in this podcast at this point. And wanting what's best for our teams, it may seem like fantasy land, but in a world of fantasy football, far too many people are sleeping on what is the best way to play. And that is in a guillotine league, in my opinion. Steve has run a guillotine league for several years, so I'm just going to toss it to the expert here in this category. Steve, for those who don't know, what is a guillotine league? And what are the pros and compared to traditional endpoints leagues?
All right. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate the setup here. So, yeah, let me talk about guillotine football leagues, fantasy football leagues. If you're not familiar with the guillotine football league, it's just like the newest way to play fantasy football. It is fantasy football meets Survivor. So I've been running one for like 7 years. I highly doubt many people have been running one for that long. But there's no trades, there's no head-to-head matchups, there's only one goal: don't be last. And so you start with 18 teams, one for every week. And if you're last, you lose, and you lose all of your players, and all of those players go to the waiver wire. So lowest score means you're chopped, that's it, your season's over, no playoffs, no comeback, no second chances, you're just eliminated. It sounds harsh, it sucks. I've been in a guillotine league where I drafted Joe Burrow and Travis Kelce in the first 2 rounds, and neither one of them played, and I got chopped in the first week. It was terrible. But now that everybody gets dropped from your team, you get the chance to bid on all those players. And so you use your budget. You have no idea what other people are going to bid on. A lot of people go like way off the top rope and do like crazy stuff, and then next thing you know, like 2 weeks later, that player's back on the market again because they spent too much money and they couldn't manage their team. So like, it's a very different format. You're going to start off with a bad roster, because you're 18 rounds, you're just digging through the trash at that point. But it's so much fun. Like when you start getting down to like the last, like what would be like normal fantasy, when you get down to like 12 teams, so 6 teams have been eliminated, your rosters start looking really good. And then you get down to 10, they start looking even better. You get down to like 6, now you got a super team. And then it's a little bit more luck based. But it's the most fun way to play fantasy football. It shouldn't be your only league, because if it is and you get chopped, then like your fantasy football season's done. But it is something that you should add to your portfolio. It's really a fun time. It's very anxiety inducing, because every Sunday and every Monday there's like 3 or 4 people who are like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get chopped this week," and so it's just a really good time. The pressure builds. It can be brutal. You're probably not going to win. Usually the payout, you can do a couple of different ways for it, but like it's almost like winner take all. And so like I pay like a second place out. Basically they're buying back, but it is brutal. It is winner take all for the most part. And so a lot of anxiety. It's almost a lottery ticket. Some people don't like it, but I think it's the best way to play fantasy football. It's just, I don't know. It's so much fun. And it's like something you have to like really keep up on every week. And so if you don't, you're going to be out. If you're last place, you're going to be out. Guillotine Leagues. You can go to guillotineleagues.com. That's where the founder started it. And so you can draft leagues there pretty much now. And so it's a blast. I just run the one. I play in another. It's so much fun. So I would say if you haven't heard of a guillotine league, you should really look into it and invest in one. Maybe just do a cheapy one for now until you kind of like get used to the format. But it's a blast. You should definitely do a guillotine league.
Didn't he win it?
I was in it, I won.
Yeah.
First year I was in it, I won. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, there's a caveat to that. I did get lucky. It was, and I say this with like a heavy heart, because it was that Cincinnati Bills game that ended up being canceled, the DeMar Hamlin game, that literally gave me the opportunity to win, because all those stats got canceled. Had that game not been canceled, someone else would have won. Someone else would have won. That was the difference.
You're like the 2020 Dodgers. You won,
guess.
But
you got an asterisk.
Does it count? Yeah.
or the Lakers, or the 2020
or the
Lakers.
Yeah.
But I know Jeff and I both love. I know Jeff and I both love guillotine. I know as Steve explained it. It is a really great and fun way, and anxiety filled way to run a football fantasy league. So thanks, Steve, for dropping some knowledge about the guillotine league, because as I said, it is the most fun and the most stressful form of fantasy football.
Every week somebody's out. Every week somebody is out, and I've been there. And like,
I've been there. I've been out week 1. Yep.
Yeah, it happens. You sign up, and if you only do guillotine leagues, you could literally have 3 guillotine leagues and have no more fantasy after 2 weeks. So that's what makes it fun too.
True.
Yeah, that's just Jets football, stress-free football.
Yeah, it's true.
So, but now it is time for our signature part of the show. Getting back up, we share stories of adversity and perseverance and the human side of sports. Steve, keep it going for us with your getting back up. Who do you got today?
Thanks, Adam. This is going to be a tough one for me. My getting back up is Jim Kelly. He is a Hall of Fame quarterback, Bills legend, Buffalo legend, went to 4 straight Super Bowls. He lost the 4 straight Super Bowls. I get it. That's just getting back up at that point. But that's not why I'm picking Jim Kelly. I'm picking him because after football ended, Jim Kelly found what actually losing feels like. Him and his wife had a son named Hunter in 1997. Hunter was only a few months old when he was diagnosed with Crab disease, a devastating neurological disease with no cure. His parents were told that he would live less than 2 years. And this is where Jim Kelly's definition of toughness completely changes. His entire life. entire life, toughness had an answer. You get knocked down, you get back up. You get hit, you keep playing. You lose, you come back next week. Now he's looking for his son. There's nothing he can do about it. Hunter has a foundation named after him. Hunter lived for 8 years. He kept getting off the fucking turf, Jim Kelly, but I can't imagine losing a child. So Hunter died at 8 years. He had already stood in front of the entire world and lost 4 Super Bowls. Millions of people watched that. None of that really mattered anymore because he had to bury his son. Sorry. 8 years later, he gets cancer. In 2013, he's diagnosed with cancer in his jaw. Has major surgery, part of his jaw removed, teeth removed. He fights it. Then the cancer comes back a year later. Radiation, chemotherapy, fights it again. 2018, guess who's coming back? Cancer. Cancer comes back again. And so he had to go through an operation, roughly 12 hours, to remove and reconstruct his upper jaw. If you've ever heard Jim Kelly speak these days, he doesn't. He has like a lisp or whatever, and like you obviously can tell that he had his jaw reconstructed. What Kelly Tough means to me is I've been a Bills fan for 30 years. Well, probably more. When I was younger, Jim Kelly was a hero to me because he was our quarterback. Now I'm older and I understand family problems. And when I look at Jim Kelly today, being a Hall of Fame quarterback might be the least impressive thing about him. Kelly Tough played hurt, took a lot of hits. He did all that. He lost the Super Bowls. His son passed away. He had cancer. He got it. He beat it. And then he got it again. And he beat it. And then he got it again. And he just kept getting back up. Jim Kelly, that's my getting back up. Sorry for being emotional, but it's Jim Kelly, man. Getting back up.
Got today. Just your childhood hero. Well, essentially, is basically what I'm getting here. So I understand the difficulty to get through that. It is kind of a sad. It is not even kind of a sad story. Losing your son. I think that losing a child is the last thing a parent would ever want in their lives. I can't speak on that. I just know from what my mom tells me how awful like something like that would be. I have pets, and it's awful just with pets. So the struggle. It's Jim Kelly. I understand. He's endured a lot. That's a rough one, and I appreciate you bringing it. It's obviously it was a difficult story for you to get through. So that being said, I'm gonna just move on to Jeff. Jeff's getting back up today. It might be a little bit difficult to get onto yours from that Jim Kelly story. But go ahead and let's see what you got today, Jeff.
I'm gonna go with Teddy Bruschi today. And I know he's a Patriot, evil empire. Nobody really wants to talk about Patriots in this way in a positive manner, but getting back up is bigger than sports rivalries. It's a celebration of human resilience. So with that said, let's get into it. February 2005, the Patriots just won their 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years. But Teddy Bruschi, he's 31 years old at the time. He's a Pro Bowler. He's the co-captain of a defense that gave up very little points that year. The third fewest in Patriots history. And then 3 days after they won that Super Bowl, he wakes up in the middle of the night. He's feeling a little weird. Like his fists were clenched and his one arm was raised up above his head. He said his body didn't feel right, but he kind of like pushed it off for a minute because he wasn't sure what was happening. Let's wait and see what happens. They end up calling the ambulance. And by the time the ambulance gets him to the hospital, he's had a stroke at 31 years old. And this is just 3 days after winning the Super Bowl. what's crazy about that is that he had no idea what was going on inside his body for basically his entire life. They found out he had this thing called a patent foramen oval. And for you laymen out there, in case you're not familiar with these medical terms, that means he has a hole in his heart. And it's not as uncommon as you think. It happens to about 25-30% of people. But in his case, it caused a clot to go to his brain. And he had this ticking time bomb inside his body that he had no idea about. So he has that stroke. July 2005, this is 6 months later, the Patriots put out a statement saying that Brucey's going to be sitting out the whole season coming up, the 2005 season. No timeline beyond that. Playing at a all pro level 5 months earlier, and now it's not a question of when he's coming back, it's if he's going to come back at all. So fast forward 5 months later to October, and out of nowhere he's cleared. Doctors are like, you're good to go. He gets back on the field October 30th against the Bills, Steve, and he ends up playing 9 games that season. Gets comeback player of the year. And he plays 3 more seasons after that, getting back to another Super Bowl in 2007. Wow. He won that game against the Bills, by the way, in case you wanted to know, Steve. They won every game against the Bills in that time, so I guess it's not really saying much.
Tom Brady went 31-3 against the Bills.
Exactly. So then Teddy Bruschi retires 2009. And like a week after that, he gets his jobs at ESPN. He's doing, as an NFL analyst, he's doing Sunday Countdown. He's doing NFL Live. He's doing Get Up. He's doing all the big hitters on ESPN, and he's still doing it today. And then he started a charity called Teddy's Team. It's basically a running club where people just get together and they train for the Boston Marathon. Every dollar they raise during this goes to the American Stroke Association for stroke research and awareness. Bruschi himself has run the marathon multiple times. So he spent the last 20 years now teaching people the warning signs of the stroke, arm weakness, face drooping, slurred speech, all that. Simple stuff that most people just don't know about. Like you start to see this and you're like, let's see what happens. And so then in 2019, Bruschi's 46 at this time, he has another stroke. Jeez. But this time he's able to recognize what's happening because of all this philanthropy he's been doing. He realizes, my face is drooping, my arm is weak. He's like, boom, got to get to the hospital right away. He gets treated super fast, recovers, really no issues whatsoever. And then, so it turned out that the awareness campaign that his first stroke forced him to build probably saved his own life the second time. So Teddy Bruschi, man, won a Super Bowl, nearly lost his life 3 days later, and then got back up, not once, but twice. So
that's really cool.
I thought that was a great story to bring to the audience today.
Yeah.
I've heard stories of people talking about like strokes and like what happens, and the key part is recognizing the results and knowing and catching it like immediately, because otherwise you're dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, good. And Bruschi doing all that extra work, and not just, I guess, not taking for granted the fact that he was in the position he was in. He made sure to provide research and education for people so they can avoid what happened to him. 31 is a very young age and very scary. When you said 31, my heart jumped because I didn't realize. You don't realize how young these guys actually are sometimes on the field. Like I feel like they're kids, and then all of a sudden, like they're retired and they have their own kids playing. So it's a weird thing with sports stars and sports and athletes in general. Is just like we're growing and we don't realize the seasons are passing. Yeah, it's kind of like an interesting relationship we have with athletes in general, and sleeping with the enemy a bit there. Talking about a Patriot.
It's like we talk about CG2K, like 38 having.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like it's awful. Like football. Guess what? Football's a dangerous sport.
Yep, absolutely it is.
I mean, this had nothing to do with football, but sorry, Adam, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. No, you're good. No, I understand. It does. It is his stat had nothing to do with football. His story is pretty remarkable because he did come up with that charity and help other people that had his ailment so they can recognize the signs. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's the best part about if you do suffer from something, is using your education and everything that you've learned about it and passing it on. I think that's the highest of moral codes. For me, is what Teddy Bruschi has accomplished in his life at this point, winning Super Bowls and maybe saving countless lives through his philanthropy. I would say is kind of what that is. So my story today is one of deep struggle, one of addiction, but also one of strength and determination. Former #1 overall pick of the Tampa Bay Rays, Josh Hamilton, was destined for greatness. He had big power, could throw, could run with could run. He could throw with accuracy. He was a true five-tool player. Then, as quickly as it all started, it all came crashing to a halt in 2001 when Josh was in a car accident with his mother and he sustained a severe back injury. Unable to play, and having his signing bonus money that coincided with being a top pick, Hamilton became addicted to the pain pills and his life began to spiral. He was arrested and couldn't make it through any of his rehab programs, unfortunately.
Jesus.
After 3 years out of the game, Hamilton began his long journey back to the playing field. When he was left unprotected by the Rays, who still had control of his rights, he was selected by the Cubs in the '07 Rule 5 draft. He was immediately traded to the Reds and thus begun his career resurgence. Hamilton was given an opportunity to play every day when an injury befell the Red center fielder Ryan Freel, and he excelled. He finished the year with 19 homers and 47 RBIs in 90 games. That offseason, the Reds traded Hamilton to the Rangers, and the rest is history. Josh was named to the All-Star team that season and put on an absolute show during the Home Run Derby at Yankee Stadium. He clubbed a then record 28 homers in the first round, colossal and majestic shots into the New York night. And while he found success and earned himself a long-term deal with the Angels, Josh unfortunately succumbed again to his demons. He suffered a relapse and was out of baseball just a few short years after the special night at Yankee Stadium. However, he remains one of baseball's biggest what-if stories, and that's why I chose him for my Getting Back Up. All right, fellas, any final thoughts on today's episode?
That home run derby was epic. That was so good.
Dude,
and if you ever hear like Jeff Passan talk about it, like his passion toward it, gives me chills talking about it even now. Like even when you were talking about it, I was like, oh, chills up my spine. But yeah, Jeff Passan talks about that as if it's like one of the most remarkable things he's ever seen in his life. That was a really cool moment.
Yeah,
I will say, if you can find a podcast that Jeff Passan is involved in, it's always a great watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
shout out to Jeff Passan.
Elite content.
So good.
He's really good.
Yeah. That home run derby, like that was Griffey. There was Griffey behavior. Like it was so good. Like he just killed it. And then his he was a comet essentially. Like he burned hot and then he was gone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's unfortunate that a car accident is really what started. And then, as we find out, even outside of athletes, unfortunately, injuries to common injuries for any of us tend to lead to some sort of addiction to the pain pills that we're given. So that's really, to me, that's the most unfortunate part of his story is that car accident, because you could see that as the fork in the road for him. And what changed his life forever. So that will do it for this week's episode of Tough Loss Bro. Don't forget, for more elite sports content, check us out on all of our socials and join the conversation. We'll see you guys next time.